Joining me right now is Jamesa Stokes from Penn State University. Jamesa,
Yes.
thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want you to tell me about your organization. It's called We Are for Science.
Yes.
How did the organization come together, and what are the goals of the group?
So the organization came together. It was organized through two of my friends who are geoscience PhD candidates. And so the organization was primarily started through the Association of Women Geoscientists, the chapter at Penn State. And basically they saw that science in the community and science in society in general, the value of science has decreased, or the value of scientific inquiry, like most of the society just does not see the value of it. And so basically what we had decided was that we should start an organization where we advocate for science in a variety of different ways in order to engage the community.
And We Are for Science was
Yes.
born.
Yes.
One of your focus areas, promoting inclusion and a diverse community.
Yes.
So what are some of the efforts you're making in that area?
So I'm actually one of the co-chairs for the diversity and inclusion subgroup that we have in We Are for Science. There's 3 different subgroups, and that's one of them. And one of the initiatives that we have is called Faces of Science. So we made a website where we profile different scientists in our community, and it's not only graduate students, anyone can submit a profile. We just ask them to submit a description of what they do, their research, why they went into the certain scientific field that they study, and why it's important to them, and then they can send us what they write. And then we'll put it up on a really nice website. And then something else that we're going to do in relation to that, once we get more We Are for Science, Faces of Science entries, is that we'll have a weekly feature on our different social media platforms that will link back to the website. And then eventually we've also gained interest to people, maybe they don't want their picture or name associated with their story, but they just want to post an anonymous story about what they do because they still feel like what they feel or what they want to say, they want it to be heard.
Sure. So, why is it important for the science community to make their voices heard on advocacy and policy issues?
Well, for the most part, we work on things that the general public, maybe the general public doesn't know that it's important, but overall, I think all scientists, they have a feeling that they want to do something to impact for the greater good.
Sure.
And so I think making our voices heard about getting more funding for scientific projects that we find important, that we think can make a big impact on society, I think is really important.
Another focus area for your group is communicating science to people like me, the general
Yes.
public. Some of the efforts for your group has made in that area are quite striking, aren't they?
Yes, so for the most part, what we're primarily focusing on now is trying to improve our communication in science for the general public, specifically for the voting base. For the most part, most of our initiatives, so for example, we have an Ask a Scientist booth at various events around the State College area.
Yeah.
But for the most part, most adults will bring their children thinking it's a children activity. And although we love engaging children because they will be the next generation of scientists, primarily the main reason we wanted those booths was to engage adults in our communities on the research that we do and why it's important. And then, so maybe that's something else that we need to work on in terms of how we approach this voting base that sometimes may think that scientists think that we're coming from a place of elitism, that we know all this stuff, therefore we're going to tell you all this stuff, and this is why you should listen to us. And so maybe instead of Ask a Scientist, maybe we can rebrand it as asking, what can a scientist do for you? And maybe we can engage more of those adults.
Yeah,
who,
I see the wheels turning
Yeah.
as far as that goes. There's obviously a lot of room for growth, and
Yeah.
speaking to that, We Are for Science is a project right now of Penn State students and the local community.
Yes.
But look into your crystal ball in the future. Do you see it spreading to other schools and communities?
Yes, so that is our main goal, and well, part of that is we're trying to decide what type of organization we still want to be. If we are only designated as a university chapter, then according to certain bylaws, depending on the university that you're at, only graduate students and undergraduate students can be allowed to be members. You can't have members of the community or faculty or staff being members.
Gotcha.
And that's not what we want. We want everyone involved
Inclusion.
in this initiative. Exactly. We want everyone involved in this initiative. And so another thing that we talked about is possibly also being a nonprofit, but there's a bunch of red tape and paperwork goes into that. And so we're still considering that. Because Penn State is in the NCAA Big Ten Conference, first what we discussed is possibly forming a Big Ten collaboration. So going to Ohio State and Michigan and saying, hey, would you like to form a chapter? And then
Despite the rivalry.
Despite the rivalry. But we're all friends in the end. We all want the same thing in the end.
That's the truth.
And so from the Big Ten, then maybe we can expand out to other universities nationwide.
Well, I wish you the best of luck, Jamesa Stokes. It was
Thank you
great
so
to
much.
meet you.
Thank you so much for
good
having
luck.
me. Thank you.